afternoon and welcome to the news. My name is Remy Allen. The death of former Governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, has been described as a monumental loss to the people of Ondo State, the Southwest, and Nigeria generally. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, at a special court session in honor of the late legal icon in Akure, the state's capital, said the state has lost not just a rare gem, but a true Democrat, consummate, fearless, honest, and God-fearing leader. Aiyedatiwa promised to sustain the legacy of his late boss. Government House correspondent Wahab Bankole has details of the special valedictory court session.
It was an emotional gathering at the State High Court of Justice in Akure, the Ondo State capital, as members of the bar and the bench held a special valedictory session in honor of the late former governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, who died on the 26th of December 2023. Delivering his valedictory speech, the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Olusegun Odushola, who described the occasion as the saddest moment of his career as a judicial officer, noted the remarkable exploits of the late governor.
Arab will never interfere with the judicial activities, even when it did not favor his desires. He will always tell us, "My Lord, deliver your judgment in your true conscience. If I am not satisfied, I will appeal."
Other speakers, including representative of the Nigeria Bar Association, representative of the Body of Benchers, and the senior advocate, acting Solicitor General of Ondo State and Permanent Secretary, Minister of Justice, as well as the representative of the NBA President, while eulogizing the sterling qualities of late Akeredolu, noted his contributions to the development of the state and the country.
Akeredolu was ready to be alone in his view if he felt that he was right. And that was the cause of justice. He didn't quite care if everybody abandoned him.
The people were of the view that the disease which ultimately took his life did not defeat him because of his braveness and courageous nature, but rather it was time to answer the divine call. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa described the death of his late boss as a grave loss to government, people of Ondo State, the judiciary, and Nigeria, as well as the Akeredolus.
My lords, what is it that makes the learned men special? I know what it is because I know Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, S.A.C. The magisterial gate, the supreme confidence, depth of character, knowledge of the substance, essence and procedure of law, ebullience and discretion, and perhaps most importantly, the frugality with human excesses.
The governor prayed God to grant the people of the state and members of the family the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss of the brave, fearless, and principled legal icon.
We remember with pride today a sense of urgency and intervention, an unusual dedication to the cause of access of justice. How can I forget those many political, rough, and dusty roads we traveled together since 2012? How can I forget those calls in the morning? Especially when he said, "Lucky, you must call me every morning, latest by 9 o'clock." How can I forget? When you pull those calls through, when I forget to call him, "Lucky, what's in where? That voice has ceased.
One of the children of the deceased, Dr. Tenny Akeredolu Michaels, on behalf of the family, thanked the people of the state for the honor done the family and the late governor. In an interview, the Deputy Governor for your state, Mr. Bayo Lawal, said the legacies of the late Governor Akeredolu will remain indelible.
Catalog of achievements that they rolled out here.
Bankole, Osrc News.
The government and the people of Ondo State have held a commendation service in line state in honor of late Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Akeredolu in Akure, the state capital. The event held at the Ondo State Sports Complex attracted personalities from within and outside the state. Sheon Adetola was there and now published the story.
The location was the State Sports Complex in Akure, where people from different backgrounds gathered to pay their last respect to the former governor. Oluwarotimi Akeredolu on both the people and the state in general. The immediate family of the late governor was not left out of the event. It was an opportunity for many organizations to present tributes in honor of the departed.
He believed there is ability in us, and he is the first person that gives persons with disability massive employment in Ondo State. And a simplicity of life, uncomplicated and easy to understand man.
His strength, favor, and voice has not only given us courage to face the future, but to face it with renewed hope.
Various socio-cultural groups as well as dignitaries were in attendance to attest to the significant roles played by late Arakunrin as the governor of Ondo State.
He rose to the peak of his career as a lawyer, as a senior advocate of Nigeria. He went on to lead his professional association and gave a very good account of himself.
We have all missed him greatly. We have been able to unite all of us in APC and even across the state, and we all miss a man that was, and are getting made life easy for everybody.
A listening leader. He was caring. He will be greatly missed by everybody.
He showed that he was a man of courage. He took very tough decisions that most other people will shy away from.
Akeredolu was a man who was always driven by passion in everything he did. As a governor, he was very passionate about Ondo State.
He came, he saw, conquered, and he exited in glory. He excelled in all spheres of life as a professional, as a family man, as a Christian, and as governor of this state.
He never denied the club anywhere, no matter where he is. The moment he sees the Kega's club, he will identify with them with his one finger salute. He's a carryable soul.
Addressing the gathering, Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa described late Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Akeredolu as a man who led the people of Ondo State with conscience.
As we gather here today to pay our last respect to the gone leader, I ask you to look at the remains of the man who asks not what Ondo State can do for him, but what he could do for Ondo State. And Oluwarotimi, all-time general, who fought and won for justice, liberty, prosperity, rule of law, human rights, good governance, and most importantly, character and courage.
Meanwhile, the burial activities for the late Christian wake is at Maranatha Villa Owo at 8 p.m. Candlelight procession and wall gyration by the Kegais Club will hold by 8 p.m. till dawn. On Friday, February 23, funeral service at St. Andrew's Church in Molawo at 10 a.m. Interment follows immediately after the burial service at the burial site, Owo, strictly for immediate family. Reception will take place at Midas Hotel and Resort. Thanksgiving service is on Sunday, February 25 at St. Andrew's Church in Molawo. at 10 a.m. Away from the burial activities to other stories, President Bola Tinubu has said his administration is strongly committed to providing excellent healthcare facilities for all Nigerians and will continue to prioritize domestic and foreign direct investments in the sector. The President made these remarks at a meeting with the President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, Benedict Orama, accompanied by a delegation from King's College Hospital, London, KCH. President Tinubu, who was recently appointed the African Union AU Chairperson for Human Resources for Health and Community Health Delivery Partnership, emphasized that the continent cannot afford to remain behind. Of Health and Social Welfare, Mohamed Pate, explained that the bank and KCH are also collaborating on building a medical and nursing school in line with the administration's commitment to expanding the training of healthcare professionals in the country. The Senate has kicked against plans by the Ministry of Power to approve the proposed hikes in electricity tariff by distribution companies. The Senate also rejected plans to remove electricity subsidy given the present hardships in the country. The upper chamber, who directed the Committee on Power to investigate the 2 trillion naira required for electricity subsidy payments, other debts owed in the sector, and the state of metering in the country, called immediate past governor of Kwara State, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, for alleged 10 billion naira fraud on Friday. Sources in the anti-graft agency said the ex-governor would be dragged before the Federal High Court in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, for diversion of funds amounting to 10 billion naira. The ex-governor has been detained by the EFCC since Monday when he honored an invitation for interrogation. The case is taking a new dimension. The Labour Party deputy governorship candidate in Lagos State has resigned her membership of the party. Oyefusi contested alongside Badebo Rose Vivor in the 2023 governorship election, won by incumbent Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Oyefusi made her resignation known in a letter dated February 22, 2024, and addressed to the chairman of the party in the Schedule 1 ward, Ikorodu area of the state. In the letter, Oyefusi said it was time for her to move as the party's values no longer align with ours. The National Working Committee, NWC, of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has dropped Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, as chairman of his Edo State Governorship Primaries Committee. The decision followed complaints from aspirants, elders, and stakeholders. The NWC had late Tuesday night declared the Saturday primary Governor Basi Otu of Cross River State to conclude the primaries. Other members of the committee include Messrs. Titilayo Tomori, Honorable Umar Hassan, Lawal Garba, and a former secretary to the Kano State government, Rabi Suleiman, who Nigerian head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, has called on the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government to lift sanctions on Mali, Burkina Faso, and the Niger Republic. Gowon, who is one of the founding fathers of ECOWAS, made a call in an open letter to the heads of state and the ECOWAS member states in Abuja yesterday evening. The 3 countries, which were slammed with sanctions by the sub-regional political economic bloc following military takeovers in their respective countries, recently declared their decision to withdraw from the bloc. Addressing a press conference, Sake refugee Deborah Balole is struggling to survive in a makeshift camp after losing her husband to the violence. The camp is crowded and unprotected, leaving Balole and others vulnerable to the harsh conditions they face every day. Kunle your has details.
This is not the first time Deborah Baholi has had to flee from her home. She lived in a village that was taken over by M23 fighters in November. Then she went to the town of Sik in the eastern Congolese province of North Kivu, where she thought she was safe. Her husband was killed a week ago, joining violence between government forces and the fighters in the area. A bomb hit their home. She is now living rough in a nearby camp for the displaced. She says there's no one to protect them here.
I went to the forest to look for food for my children a few days ago. I met bandits who took my supplies and they raped me.
Nearly everyone from Sik is sheltering at a camp that was already overcrowded. 1.5 million Congolese have been displaced since this latest round of conflict 2 years ago.
We are always running. We don't get rest. I don't know what to do. I'm just praying for peace.
The battle for Sik has been intense. A coalition of government forces wants to push M23 fighters further away from his near Sik. The town is an important road into Goma, the principal capital. Back at the camp, Deborah and Antoinette say they are doing what they can to survive day by day. Kunle Ariyo, Osrc News.
Chaotic scenes unfolded in the parliamentary debates on the Gaza ceasefire, with the Tories withdrawing from the votes. The debate ended in a meaningless vote and an unseemly spectacle. The heated discussions saw members of parliament from all sides passionately arguing their positions, but ultimately no decision was made. The Tories' withdrawal further added to the confusion and frustration of the proceedings. Despite calls for action, the deadlock continues, leaving the situation in Gaza unresolved. Kemisola Ojomo has details.
Outside the parliament, protesters demanded a vote backing the Scottish National Party's call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, inside a flurry of controversy and a sign of things to come, as the Speaker unexpectedly put forward the prospect of allowing a vote not just on the government's amendment, but also on one put forward by the main opposition Labour Party.
Support for this motion would further remove that ever-thinning veil of legitimacy that the UK's continued support gives to Israel's merciless war in Gaza.
For Labour, the worst political danger here, worried that many of its own members of parliament might vote with the SNP as they had in a similar debate in November. Hence, its own amendment for the first time endorsing an immediate ceasefire, but with cautions.
It must, by necessity, be observed by all sides, or it isn't a ceasefire. That's why we are clear. Israel cannot be expected to cease fighting if Hamas continues with violence. Israelis have the right to the assurance that the horror of the 7th of October cannot happen again.
The very fact that Labour had been allowed out of a tricky situation infuriated the ruling Conservatives, who pulled out of the process entirely.
The government will play no further part in the decision this House takes on today's proceedings. I would like to stress that the government's position on Israel and Gaza remains unchanged.
A number of Conservative and SNP members of Parliament then walked out before Labour's amendment was eventually passed, and a shell-shocked Speaker returned to his chair for the first time since opening the debate.
I thought I was doing the right thing and the best thing, and I regret it and I apologise.
I will take significant convincing that your position is not now intolerable.
Kemisola Ojomo, Osrc News.
The United States is also seeing an increasing number of Chinese migrants crossing into the country, motivated by both political and economic reasons. Chinese nationals seeking political asylum in the U.S. have a high approval rate, as they often face persecution and human rights violations in their home country. At the same time, many Chinese students and entrepreneurs are also choosing to migrate to the US in search of better economic opportunities. This influx of Chinese migrants is reshaping the demographics of certain US cities and contributing to ongoing debates around immigration policies. Temisola Jomo again reports.
Large gated homes in rural China, but the streets are almost empty. Many residents of this village in Hubei province are working overseas and sending home money to help their families.
Yes, a lot of people here do migrate overseas, and it's to make money.
In the late 1990s, as much as 85% of workers leaving the provincial capital of Quinzazhuang for jobs abroad were from here. This was in Quinzazhuang in January intention of going to the US. It was right around the time the government dropped its strict coronavirus rules.
The zero COVID policy made almost every Chinese feel the system, how brutal the system is. So when the zero COVID policy was over, a lot of Chinese people wanted to go out, wanted to escape.
Chinese nationals made up less than 2% of the 2.5 million migrants documented by the US authorities at the southern border in 2023. But they are